Hello, welcome to another episode of RezoBiz. This guitar is set up with the HipShot double shot, and so I've got two open tunings on it. Right now is in G, and then you have, with the flip of a lever, you have a D. And so I want to do the install of this HipShot double shot in this video. Hi, I'm Byrl with Byrl Guitars, and welcome to RezoBiz, where everything is greater with a resonator. Alright, here's what I'm talking about. Here's a lever that goes on the end of the dobro. You may have seen them. If you haven't, I'm going to explain it. I'm going to show you the hardware, and then I'm going to show you another video of it on the instrument, and I'll even have to make a tuning instrument or a tuning video for these. But here is the micro tuners for it. And this lever kicks back and will change the key from, I believe it goes, that'll change it from being in G back to a D, and then flip it forward and it'll be a G again. But this is the main component, and then it has HipShot in black or chrome, and then it has, oh, I have to open it up here. It has it in the roller nuts for them in black and I say chrome. I believe it's actually polished aluminum or stainless. Feels like aluminum. But there's the nut, and the reason they make it like this is because of the amount of flex you have on the strings. They have to be able to roll. So this roller nut. There's the black one, and then here's the. They're aluminum. There's the polished aluminum. Alright, so this kit also comes with locking tuners. These are the HipShot double shot. Well, I don't know if they call them the double shot. These are just the HipShot tuners. I get them sometimes without the locking thing just because I like the open back, but for this it really needs the locker on it. And so this, the way it works is there is a little screw here. It runs a pin up and it pinches the wire inside of there to keep it from slipping, because there is a lot of pressure on these things. So you got these locking tuners in chrome, and then you have them in black to match the black over here. It really has a neat look, but it's not just for looks. It's got a great function. So what we have today is a Byrl that I'm going to put the HipShot double shot on. We're going to replace the tailpiece. We're going to replace the bone nut with the roller nut and these tuners, which do not have a locking mechanism on the back. And I'm going to show you some of the things it takes to change that, and then I'll demonstrate some of the sound and how it works. So now I got this roller nut fitted in here, and I had to sand the back side of this nut to get it just the right thickness. My nuts are a little bit thinner than how they would come standard. I get it in nice and tight, and then it has to be pinned with these pins, because there is a lot of pull on these to wiggle back and forth. And so you got to drill these holes in the neck through this and down far enough to make those pins go down flush. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I've got my drill bit marked, so I won't go any deeper than I need to, and come out the back side of the neck, That's always a good thing. That is not going out the back side of the neck. There we go. Then we take these pins and press them in. Till they're flush. Just a little. There we go. And that dude is in good and tight. It won't be going nowhere. Now we'll get some tuners on it. So 2 things I'd like to point out, at least 2. It's the nut. The things to consider if you're doing this yourself, putting the HipShot on yourself, is the spacing between your head veneer and the neck may not be exactly the same, and so there might be a little bit of filing you have to do here. And I believe that most fretboards are supposed to be right at a 1/4 inch thick, and these are made that way. And if it's a little shallower as this one actually happens to be, then the bottom has to be shaved a little bit. So there's a little bit of work involved in that. Messing with the aluminum. Then on this one I had to fill the holes where the tuners were in the back. Let's see if I can show you. You can see the screws. That's not a very good shot. Got light in my camera, but the screws had a different set for the older tuners. And these HipShot tuners, which have got the locking nuts on them, or screws on them, and an open gear, which I really like, they had a different hole placement for that set screw in the back. And so I had to fill those and refinish the back of this one. So that a little complicated, I guess. When I usually do these, I'm putting on a brand new guitar, I don't have to fight with that. But that's something to consider. If you do it yourself, you might have to leave the holes there, or you have to finish the back of it. Anyhow, or you can send it in and I could put it on for you. And then to put this on is very simple. There is you just take your tailpiece off and you put this piece on. I did put a little piece of black. You can use felt. I have a rubber that goes on the bottom side of here. And it kind of helps cushion it against this. And it raises it up just a little bit to match this lip here, and makes the HipShot thing just flow better as it goes onto the tailpiece. But very simple to put this part on. Alright, so really 3 things you put on. You put on the tuners, you switch those out for locking tuners. You have the roller nut, and then the actual HipShot quick double shot lever. I don't know if it matters so much when you build a guitar, but when I do a dobro with the cone, being with soft aluminum, I take the bass string and the high D string, and I put them on first. And what it does is, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it, but as I put pressure on it, what little I do, it's balanced, so that cone's not being mashed down all to one side as I work it over to the other side with the strings. So I just don't start at your G string and work GBD over. Again, I'm put just a little bit of slack in it, and then I wrap it. And I told you I was going to zoom in, and I haven't yet, but I will. Usually I do it from the other side of the guitar, but I'm trying to stay out of the way a little bit so I can show you. But it really takes a lot of the nonsense out of tightening the string up. Won't take long. I'll tighten that nut up. Locking pin. Alright, this next one I'll zoom in. But by putting the bass string on first and then the high D, now what load there is even on the guitar. I always will tune them up like that. Let me zoom in, you can see how I tie that off. Make sure that pin's down. And so a little bit of slack. But then I take this string and I wrap the back side of this post, wrap it underneath the string, pull it tight, and while holding this one, so everything's wrapped around nice and tight, and then I fold it over the string. And if you're getting used to tying strings, you want this string to wrap around the post this way, not the other way, and they all wrap around the upper part of the post. Alright, and then I just got about 4 on there, tighten that up. And you'll see later, this lever really puts a lot of strain on these strings, and they stretch. And you can kind of see that if you watch the wounds on the string as I work that lever, or you do it when you get one, you can see them move, and these rollers are rolling. I mean, it's definitely a necessary nut to have a roller nut like that. Something else I wanted to show you here, and I should have probably showed you before I put the HipShot double shot lever on it. These are like a violin. These are fine tuning pins, tuners, fine tuners, whatever you want to call it, secondary tuners. Anyhow, they sit on a cam, or they push against the cam, which when you push it, it rocks down and pushes the string. And so you can set the alternate tuning with this. When you put your strings on, and before you tune it, these all should be loose. There should be no down pressure on it. When you're first putting the strings on, and when you're, especially the first tuning, it has to start at pretty much at 0.0, no pressure at all. That's important to remember. Alright, something else to consider is you got to make sure your cone or your spider bridge is straight across here, and your saddle's not sitting in sideways like this, or especially like that. And then the face of that needs to be 12.5 inches from your 12th fret, because this is a 25-inch scale. Almost all dobros are 25-inch scale, unless you got somebody. And a good way to check it is measure from your nut, and not on this nut, because it overlaps the top of the fretboard a little bit. But if you was to measure from the back, right where your fretboard starts to the middle of the 12th fret, that should be 12.5 inches. If it's not, then maybe you've got a longer fretboard, and what you got to do is just take the same distance from your nut to the middle of your 12th fret, and make that the same from the face of the saddle to your 12th fret. and that's how you'll get your middle, and help you set your intonation. So if that's off, it might play a little bit different. So if you've got it back or forward, you might have to adjust where you put your bar every time you come up to. And so if you're noticing you're not in tune, you can adjust that just a little bit. But 12.5 inches is where that thing's supposed to fall. And I got a little compensation there. So there's the HipShot double shot installed. Stay tuned for more videos on one for tuning and another just for a sample. One other thing I want to mention. If you notice my Dobro, dough spelt like the Doughboy, Pillsbury Doughboy, but this is for the Dobro advertisement. This is from Travis Tucker. It's even got backline on the little hat. And if you're maybe wanting one of these shirts, I was walking down the trails in the woods one time, and a conservation officer seen it and loved it and knew about Dobros and liked the shirt, and they understood a little play on words there. But anyhow, if you'd like one, get a hold of me. I'll be putting them on my website. I got a apparel page coming soon, just not here yet, but I'll be able to put in an order for you and help Travis out with these t-shirts and help his group out and all that.